improve my bubbles?
Loosen your trucks.
Why am I having trouble cornering?
Loosen your trucks.
Why can't I spin?
Loosen your trucks.
Should I get blue or gold skates?
Maybe loosen your trucks.
Loosen your trucks.
Loosen your trucks.
Stop! Okay, this can be great advice, but sometimes it's not. So let's talk about why. First thing you need to do is see if you've actually got movement in your trucks. So to do this, you need to lean on the little toe and the big toe to see if you've got an outside edge and an inside edge. So let's try it rolling. First of all, I'm going to lean on my right foot on the little toe to see if I can get an outside edge. Yep, so I'm getting a nice curve. So let's see if I can do an inside edge. Yeah, so that's a really nice curve. So now I'm going to try this boot to see if I can get an inside edge. No, cannot get an inside edge. Let's try the outside edge. No, so I'm really leaning on that and I'm just not moving. So my upper body is doing the edge, but my foot is not. If you're a new skater, trying it like this is going to be quite hard because you've got to balance on one foot. So you can also do this static. So if you look down, when I lean, my wheels should flex towards each other. And if they're doing that, that means you've got movement. But on this one, if I press really hard on my little toe and my big toe, my wheels are just staying static. And that means I haven't got any movement. Both of these skates are actually running on their stock setup. So this is the stock cushions, and I've just adjusted the trucks slightly to see if I can get some movement. Let me explain to you now why loosen your trucks isn't the best advice. It's basically because these are running stock. So these Candy Girls actually come with an incredibly soft cushion. So if you would say, oh, I'm having trouble with my bubbles, and someone says, oh, loosen your trucks, then you loosen these off, and then you try again, and you're like, oh, I've got no control over my skates. And then you ask again and they say, oh, loosen your trucks again. You're like, oh, can't skate. When the truck gets to a certain level of looseness, they're almost impossible to control. So this is why you need to know whether you need to tighten or loosen them. Now these stock come with the hardest cushions known to man. I think they're probably made of granite. But when you loosen your trucks off, what happens? You get to the point where you've got movement. You're like, great, that's it. I've got movement now in my trucks. But the movement has come from loosening the metal so much that it's then flip-flopping around and you're not actually using the cushions to turn, you're just using the fact that the metal is now waggling about all over the place. So let's talk about cushions and how they work. So I've got a really good example here of the wiggly waggly one with the metal flopping about. And then this has actually got a soft cushion and it's got the movement from using the cushion. So if you look at my movement, you'd say, well, oh, that's got a bit of movement there. But then this one, you're like, oh, that's got loads of movement. That must be better. But it's an uncontrolled movement because it's not using the cushions. It's just waggling about. So if I push on this foot, I've got a nice solid skate. Feels really good, feel really solid, really underneath me. Now, if I push on this one, yes, I'm getting my edge, but it just feels like I'm kind of skating on jelly a little bit. It's all a bit, ooh, it doesn't feel solid, like I'm over my skate. Even just doing that then, I had a bit of a wobble. It's just not stable. This is where you'll hear the advice. If you can move the truck with your hand, it's too loose. And this is good advice too, because that means you're not squashing the cushions, because it's really hard to squash the cushions with your hand. So moving this is going to be much harder than it is to move this. Because if I move this, you can actually see the bit of metal here waggling in between the two cushions. So how do you fix this? I want this level of movement, but I want to feel secure. So what you have to do is change your cushions. Now cushions are just the same as wheels. They have an A rating, but they're slightly different because cushions support the skater. A harder cushion will support a heavier skater and a softer cushion will support a lighter skater. This is generally the rule. But once you become a better skater, you may find that you'd actually want to go slightly softer than your weight. Because I skate on a really soft cushion because that's how I like to skate. If you're a park skater, you'll probably stay with quite a hard cushion because you want the stability on the ramps and you don't want your wheels to move about too much. So you go sideways up a ramp. So it all depends what you want, but the general rule is you go by skater weight. Just like wheels and their A ratings and their colours, Cushions come in different colours, different A ratings, and each brand will have a specific shape. So you have to make sure if you change your cushions that you get ones that are going to fit your skates. That's really, really important. They come in conical, they come in barrel. So what I would suggest is to ask your local skate shop or have a look on my Facebook page. I can offer lots of advice on there as well. It does get very technical, so ask as many questions as you need. So the upper cushion is the one that goes skate side, and this supports the skater's weight. And then the second cushion is the lower one, which tends to be a bit smaller, and this is the one that mainly does the edges and the flexing. So if you've changed the cushions to the weight that's recommended for you and you're still not getting enough movement, you could change the lower one for a softer cushion. Now this might give you a little bit more movement, but if it's still not enough, you could change the upper one as well to a softer cushion. So you have so many options to customize your skating. And with this sort of thing, it can make a huge difference, and learning can just become so much easier, and knowledge is power. Whilst we're talking about equipment, I thought I would just mention toe caps, because I see lots of people doing this wrong and it is actually really dangerous. So this type of toe stop, the one with the nut, when you put a toe cap on, do not do it like this. You don't want anything in between the metal, because it means this nut is going to keep working its way loose. You're going to go for a toe stop and it's not going to be there. Very scary. So how should it be done? What you need to do is to put the nut on inside the toe cap. Lots of people say, but it's really hard, you can't get to it. It makes it really difficult. Turn your toe cap inside out. So don't put it on the laces until you put it on the toe stop. So if you turn your toe cap inside out, all of a sudden, this is a lot easier. And then put it into the skate. This means that the nut is now going to be skate side. And you see, because this is inside out, I can see what I'm doing. It's really easy. I'll get it to where I want to. You can use a crab tool to tighten this, but it's better to use a long spanner, because it's going to make sure it's really tight and it's going to keep that toe stop in place. So once I'm done, I can flick this in the right way, and then I can thread it through my laces. So that is much, much safer. So if you can see the nut, then that is incorrect. First thing you're going to do is you're going to check if you've got movement in your trucks. If you've got too much movement, you're going to tighten them. And if you can't tighten them enough to get them firm, you're going to change to a harder cushion. Now, if they're already too hard, you're going to loosen them off. But if you get to the point where you've got movement, but the metal is waggling and the cushions aren't moving, then you're going to change to a softer cushion. Simple as that. I'm Katie, you've been watching Skatie, and I'll see you next time. Bye.